Hello and welcome to Wikipedia Weekly Network here, where Albin Larsson and I, Jan Ainali, are editing Wikidata live. How are you doing, Albin?
I'm doing great. I had a lovely day today with a bit of unexpected winter wonderland when I woke up. So a lot of time outdoors, as well as a little bit indoors now on the evening side, prepping for this. And how are you, Jan?
I'm good. We had some storm here. It was not unexpected. We were very well aware, and I got away fairly good. Just one tree on my street was
Right.
knocked over, and the municipality seemed to be prepared as well because they were there shopping it up. Like I was out on a little jog because today it wasn't that windy. And when I took a photo when I started, and when I came back, half of the tree was already gone.
Right.
So, yeah. And today it's in Sweden. It's the qualifiers for the qualifier for the Eurovision Song Contest.
Right.
So we're into round 3 of 4 before the final, and then the winner will go to the Eurovision from the final later. And we call it Melodifestivalen. And we will have that also a little bit as a theme. We might not be so hard on the Wikidata items because we're thinking about, hey, there should be a lot of good images here.
Right. Yeah. So it's structured data on commons today, mostly. I'm gonna be a little bit on Wikidata, but not any editing over there. How about you, Jan?
Well, it turns out I'll start out on commons, but then I will actually probably spend most of the time on Wikidata.
Right.
so we'll see. Because I'm going to create a property proposal. But I think before that, I even have a small surprise here, I guess, because I remembered that we have forgotten showing off this tool. So the tool is called Wikicrowd, and you'll find it on this URL. And it actually edits structured data on commons. And I think it's user Adshore who created this. It should probably say under about here. Does the about button not work? Or is it just very, very slow?
No. Or it seems to be loading something.
It's very, very slow. All right. Anyway, what it is sort of like some sort of choice has been made and thinking, are these bridges? And your job is to say yes or no and stuff like that. And then it will add depicts on it. And I'll see if the login is quicker then. The login is quicker. All right, that's good. So I'll allow this. And let's just show the bridge and see how it works. So does this image clearly depict the bridge? And I'm pretty sure that's a bridge. So I'll say yes. And now it goes making an edit for me in the background.
Right.
And this is probably a bridge. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna skip that. Someone more brave might have say it is. This is clearly a bridge.
Yeah.
And so on. And this is sort of like a great way of making micro contributions somewhere and actually adding some sort of value. And I think it's on purpose here, if I'll go back to home, that these are high-level depict statements. So they're more, well, Barack Obama is not a high-level depict statement, but still a lot of images. So it's meant to be pushing it down the line afterwards. So, but that's not available right now.
And I imagine it does some type of check if there already is a specified bridge and such.
I hope so. I don't know. I don't know how this selection works, but it updates immediately at least. So that's good.
Right. But it seems to be a selection, so I imagine there is some type of quality assurance.
Yeah, I hope so too. So that was the small surprise. But now to the main event. So here's the category for this year, and it has been two qualifiers, and the third is going on right now. We're competing with the airing time. It's this exact same time aired in Sweden. But the reason why we look at this is that you can see we have 352 images from the last one and 275 from the one before. And that's because Wikimedia Sweden has been really good in getting accreditation. So volunteers has been giving a photo pass and been given all access on rehearsals, press conferences and such, which makes them like, we have a lot of good images. And here's one from the first one, just from the stage. And we can take a look at the structured data here, and we can see it depicts the artist. And then we have the bots going around adding a few things. And we do have the date as well from the bot. But we don't have any good way of saying that this is actually taken during this competition. You could almost say that it depicts. This one is quite good because this is part of the stage and several people. But if we go to something like this one from 2014 Eurovision, and I'll see if you can hear the video here, but she's just saying that who she is and what she competes with. And in the structured data here, we have the artist and we have the source of file, language of work. But we don't have that this is in Eurovision 2014. And this is obviously not like, it's not depicting the event. And we have something else here. You can see even from the title of it, talking to the press during Capitol storming. But of course, this is not depicting the Capitol storming because he's not the one storming it. He's being stormed, I guess. So that's sort of like an on the modeling talk page under events. This has been discussed. Significant event has been used, but that's not really good because that should rather apply to the file. So we said here, oh, perhaps we should make a new one called created during or something like that. So I said this morning that I'm going to take a stab in creating this property proposal. So let's see where we can go with that. So let's head over to Wikidata. And this is the main page. And the way I usually find my way there is I'll use the link to the left here. Now it is very small. I have to zoom in for you. So in the left, there's a community portal. And I have just learned that from the community portal, there is a direct link to the Wikidata property proposal. So it's the shortest way I know. And I don't really need to remember the actual, well, this one is fairly self-explanatory. But either way, that's how I do it. There's the shortcut, WDPP. All right. And then I think this is going to be one for commons. I'm going to start with that, but it's possible that you could have this being useful outside of commons as well. But I'm immediately having a need for it on commons, so that's where I'm going to start. And before you propose, you should check all of these. I saved us some time and already looked it up. So there isn't a property like this. It hasn't been proposed yet either. So I'll go right down here to creating the property. Once consensus, so not there. So yeah, so I'll give it a name here. And I'm going to start with created during. I'm guessing we're going to need a lot of alias here because you can see someone's thinking about it when they're on commons, like it's photographed during or recorded during. But let's go with it as wide as possible that is still a common denominator for these. Click the button and it loads a lot of things. And this one, I'm always a little taken aback with all the things here because there's a lot of things. a lot of text, but there's also a lot of help text here. So let us take it slow and try to do this. So the first thing they want to do is the property name in English. So I'll copy this here, create it during, and put it over here. And we can add more languages. I'm going to wait with that for now, even though I know at least one more language, but I don't know a good translation for this to Swedish yet, and I've been thinking all day. Status, leave this empty, and description, and here we need to add something. And we'll say, what can we say? So this media file was created during a specific event or occurrence. 2 R's in occurrence. Thank you. Subject item. So this would be, I guess, event. Let's see if we can find that item. Event. Very slow. Very slow. Event. Oh, or occurrence. Event is a subclass of occurrence. So let's go with that, perhaps.
Yeah, it would allow for a little bit more abstract things, I imagine.
I think that might be good. So let's go with that. And we'll add it with a Q template here, so it will be easy to read. Infobox parameters. I don't think we have any of these right now. And data type here would be item, because we want this to link to an item about this thing that's happening. So we can remove all of this. And domain. Would this be
media files?
Wikibase media info? Is that the?
Yeah, or media file.
Media file, perhaps.
I think Wikibase media info more or less the extension.
Yeah.
Rather than the type.
And allowed values. So this would also be events, I would think.
Yeah.
Subclasses. Subclasses. Allowed no units. And now we'll find a few examples here. And of course, this was good then because we had a few examples. So this one could be an example. So we'll add that as the first one. Like that. And the value should be then, and we want to find this one. Perhaps we can find it through going up in the category tree. I think for this one, we need to go up to, yeah, there's no one for the qualifier yet, but there should be one for this. There we have it. So we can copy this. And then for example 2, with Conchita. That should go to Eurovision 2014. Is there, how many subcategories down is this? I think this might be the shortest. So first videos and then up one more. A lot of videos from this one. That's good. There we have it. That was a low number. Oop. Here we want it. And lastly, we go with this one from the storming as well. The wider selection is on this. I think that was also quite nice in the category 3 here, 2 steps up, I think. First, there's one with the interior and then the storming. That should have an info box, I guess. It does. So we'll copy this. Some examples, we might add more later. Planned use to media show when they taken. Add to structured data. Here we do have a lot of things in categories that can actually help us later. For identifiers, see also. So I think we should mention here, there's this, I don't remember exactly the name, but there's something like significant event.
Yeah.
We should mention that one.
And maybe depicts as well.
Yes. That's a good one. So see also, we'll go with the property template here, P793. And now I happen to know depicts 180, but we'll have to double check it. I think it's that.
Yeah, it should be that.
Robot and gadget jobs. And here I think, I'm not sure if we need, but tools like is it called just SDC tool?
I think it's just SDC. That's the label you get in Commons, at least.
Like SDC and ACDC can do a lot of work. But I don't think there's well, you could probably run some bots or make queries and use from quick statements as well. When yeah,
I imagine there would be plenty of bots which just takes a category and
applicable stated in, no, nothing like that. Single best value constraint, no. You should be able to have, or should you be able, no, yes, probably. Or maybe you can have two overlapping things going on at once.
Can you? I imagine you can, but I can't find an example in my head.
So I was looking in this category before, and I was actually so the storming started during the electoral college count, but this one has a separate item. I imagine some of these, like this one, is sort of in both categories, I guess.
Right.
So it. I'll go with a no for now. Oh, if it's no, you don't need any text. All right. Distinct values. No. Wikidata project. There's no specific project for this right now. No. And here I'll add some sort of motivation. This will help us put images better in context of their creation. in a way that is like, because they have already date and time, but that might not say really the context. And I think I'm happy with this for now. Let's make a preview and see we didn't mess anything up too much. That looks good. Represents a currency as item media file. All right. That wasn't that hard. I'm always like, when I start this page, I I think this is a little bit of also that it's being in Wikitext makes it feel more heavy than it actually is. It isn't that hard. Of course, it helps if you think about what you want to do, like a bit before. So you sort of let's see. I double check significant depicts. Yes, right. So I'll save this one. That's the first step. Let me see. So I'll publish the page here. And I think I still have the warning text up here. You have not transcluded it. So I'll copy this one because I'm going to need that on the next page. And that will add it to the list where the voting is going on. And I will go down to Wikimedia Commons, edit source, and you should add these to the bottom.
Right.
Let's make sure it was included properly. It looks good over here. Looks good over there as well. All right.
Nice.
That was not too bad. So a little bit quicker than I thought as well. So I'll just take the chance to show you a little bit more here about the competition in Sweden. So you see we have a little bit of a nav box over here. 2001 is 21 is red because they decided to not have any audience, so no one was accredited. But if we go to example for 2020, the one furthest north, we didn't get anyone wanted to go over there. But for all the other ones, including the final in Stockholm, we had photographers at every single one. And if you go back, I think we have the similar going back 2018 and in 2017. I volunteered, and that was really fun to go on a photo hunt like this. So yeah, so there's a lot of images from these, and it's sort of a once in a lifetime getting the chance to get that up close. And during rehearsals as well, there's no audience in the way, so you can run around. So yeah, I think I'll stop there. A little bit short showcase from me today, but
right,
that gives you some opportunity.
Yeah. Then I'm gonna jump straight to it. And Jan and I had a discussion earlier today about some modeling. I was thinking, what if we just set sponsor to all of this? Because as Jan mentioned, Wikimedia Sweden has been involved in funding this. But we ran into a thing where, let's see, where am I? I'm at modeling, and I should be able to go down to various section here, participants and sponsors. So I went here when I was thinking of this idea and was looking at, okay, sponsor, let's sponsor. However, since this was written, there's been an addition here to Wikidata. So if I go to Wikidata and search for funder, we should have a property for that as well. And I used one property search. There we go. Entity that gives money to person or so on. And we couldn't really decide, and I think we need to create some type of discussion over here. But while doing this research, I actually used the query service to do a little bit of a trick, which I usually do. And I don't think we've been showing this off. We usually always write select and things
I
like that.
don't think we have shown the new one at all.
No, exactly. We got a new Wikimedia Commons query service beta 2 as it's called, which is updated like super quick, just like the Wikidata query service. We can see that it was updated just a few seconds ago.
So no more a week of waiting.
Exactly. So when you make an edit now, it will show up within a few minutes, which is incredibly nice. But we usually do select, and I think we have been showing a couple of author ones like describe and a couple of ones, but I don't think we have shown ask, which is a great one when you just need to check, does something exist? And if I, for example, want to check, is there any file with the and then VDT for the property, funder, and any value here. And if I just run this will just say false. No files on commons has something like this. And if I replace this with sponsor, which there are millions of, it runs and says true. But it doesn't need to care about how many there is. It just needs to do a simple check in the database. Is it true or false? Does this exist? And it's a very nice little query because there are new keywords or where or limits. And it's just easy, really quick to write, and allows you to ask things like this. And you can even use it with things like functions and filters and so on.
So you can make it more complex, but you're gonna guess what you get is a true or false.
Yeah. So so for example, I could check if Wikimedia Deutschland has sponsored anything. So I could do something like BD and Wikimedia. Do I get it?
There you go.
Wikimedia Deutschland, like that. And if I run this, it checks this and says, yeah, Wikimedia Deutschland has sponsored a file of some kind. But if I again replace this with funder, which we know that there aren't any properties like this, then we get false. So a nice, quick, easy way to check if a statement of some kind exists. And this was something I used actually when I did this research as we were discussing this property. But I wanted to show up something different today as well. We got a little bit of time around Melodifestivalen, so I'm going to search for that. And here we go, Swedish Eurovision Song Contest pre-selection. And as Jan said, we don't really want to have, we want a new property that can say that this was taken during, but currently we sometimes got that in depicts. And I want to find those files that depicts this. However, first we then need to look, okay, we got one in 58, 59 and so on, and got them to has part. So I first need to get all of this from Wikidata, then check commons. And how do I do that? If I would just write typical old SparkQL, which I'm going to do right now, I'm going to do select, I'm going to select files, use file here, where, and then I write my query here. And because I want things from Wikidata or like any external endpoint, I would write service, if I spell, service, and then I would write the endpoint or function. For example, we've got a label service and such. So here it will be https://query.wikidata.org/SparkQL, because the UI is at, which we usually use, is at query.wikidata.org, but the SparkQL service itself is at SparkQL. So I would do something like that, and here I would actually just write my query, which I'm gonna do. I want the Melodifestivalen, then has part, and then everything essentially down there. So I'm gonna do VD Melodifestivalen has part. Let's see. Has part and then select everything at part. And then I would just do file, oops, vdt depict, and do part. That's standard SparkQL. That would work, for example, on Wikidata if I would have a different endpoint here. But the thing it does not work on Wikimedia Commons.
Oh no.
And I'm not sure why. I have
what
asked
kind of
this.
error do you get?
Oh, it's just a timeout.
Ah.
I'm not sure why. And I even think at one point you were able to do this. I have asked on the Telegram chat, the Wikidata Telegram chat, if someone knows why. It would be very interesting to see the answer. Instead, we need to use something that isn't really SparkQL, but an extension to SparkQL that's quite hard to find the documentation for, but there are plenty of examples. So I'm going to rewrite this query in that way so it works. I'm not even going to run this. I don't want a query that's just going to time out. So I'm going to port this to that format. So what should we do then? I'm actually going to start above here and just use this as reference. And I still want select file. But here I'm going to go with something called with. And this is not a keyword in SparkQL. It's a keyword in this extension. So this is called a named subquery, what this extension does. So inside of my select with here, I do an auto select star, and then I do not aware, I just have empty here. And then I write the service. So here I got the Wikidata part. Let's see if I can format this as well. The diamond gets gray when you start doing more advanced stuff like this. And that's that part. And then down here, I believe, I do as, and then I do another type of a variable. Rather than using question mark, I use a percent sign, and I call this parts. And then I do my where. And here I do the Wikimedia Commons part. But first, I do include, which is essentially take what you did up here and do it down here instead. So I can include parts like that. And this is very interesting because this extension is in many cases rather useful. So while one would hope that something like this would work, sometimes you can run into the issue that it kind of wants to run this first because it has an external dependency of some kind. But with include, you can actually select where in the query it's going to run without the query service doing some type of performance check or optimization. So it usually can move statements around a little bit, but it won't do it here. So for example, if I now write this part down here, it will run this include here and then this. However, if I had something where I would like it to do like this, it would run it down here. So you can kind of mix it around. You can even do something like this. Do this, it will just break things. But that's how it works. It can be rather useful. And I think with that, I've just turned this standard SparkQL query into this thing we need for Commons. And let's see if I got everything right. I'm gonna cut it out, click run. I did. So we got 24 files with depicts one of the parts. So let's give those parts a name as well. Place label. Let's see if this. I don't think I can do that up here actually. I think I need to do it here because this outer select won't understand the label service because we don't got that as far as I know on Commons, or we do for captions. So I should probably select place here. No, parts. I'm saying place, sorry. part label and select part and part label, and I'm gonna add inside of the service, add an order service. You could even do something like service and then to the Wikidata Sparkle service again. It's not whitelisted, so all of this URL ones have here needs to be whitelisted. But in case you got a Sparkle server and it is whitelisted, you can actually do service inside of a service and so on. Sooner or later it will time out, but it makes it possible to do rather advanced stuff. So I want to add the service, the regular label service. And can I autocomplete that one? I can. I'm gonna do fallback to Swedish. I'm gonna remove auto language. It's actually trying to use my browser language, I think. So should that work? No, it shouldn't. I still need to. Oh, maybe it should because I selected up there. Let's try that. No, it did not work. Let's see what could be wrong here. I think I should have that up there. I do get the part, so this part works. This never gets the label. Let's see if I can just do the good old way of doing I select all the labels with part.
I usually add it in the service. You can say, just give me, and it will take the languages you have had in the service.
Right. Yeah, I think you can do something like this as well. Schema name, and then we got the label, and then I can do a filter.
Yes.
And then I can do lang matches, and I can do label followed by SV, Swedish, and that will also allow me to select the label, I think. Let's see if I knew that from my head. Just no matching record, so I guess it didn't work.
Should you go RDFS colon label instead of schema name?
Oh, that's true. Although I think they are duplicated. Let's see, and let's do another trick here then. Let's copy this part and just debug it over at Wikidata and do select star where, and let me zoom in just once more and do something like this, because the benefit of actually using this and not a custom service like this, it's not only that it works in different Sparkle endpoints, but also that you can actually do something like a startup pair without giving it a name like that. Okay. Maybe it's the syntax for the lang matches. Yes, it is, because I need to do lang. I do not want it to run just on the. So first, this is the entire like string as well as the language, but I just want the language and check if that matches. So there we go. That's the problem. Then I'm gonna place my filter here and let's see if this works. Yes, it works. So we can see that we got two with 2019. We got the couplest ones with 2020. And this is great because when we get a property like the one Jan proposed, we can just use a query like this and change these ones. So that's neat. A different way of selecting these ones would be with a commons category. And I think that's actually just as useful currently because in a lot of cases, we do not have structured data. And in a lot of cases, we want to use something like a category to create structured data with the two like quick statements. And I actually, you can do this, but it's rather complex currently. So I made a proposal over at Fabricator, and I want just to showcase this because if you know something that could be improved with the query service, go to Fabricator and fill a ticket and just mark it with Wikidata query service. And people know that it's a feature request. I think this was marked as, it has been marked with a feature request on here. So I want it to be possible to write something like, let's see here. So just anything, a subject, schema, category, and then use the category name. But we can't do this currently. Maybe we can in the future. There seems to be mostly positive responses to this. And how do we do it then currently? And I'm going to go to the examples because that's an easy way to get started. But first, I'm gonna open one of these so I see category for later. Examples, and I'm just gonna search for category here. So let's see here. Do we have Wikidata items in category art? That seems it's some type of Wikidata items or files. So it's not exactly what we need, but at least this is a part we need. So we need another service actually. And I want all of this, I believe. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna clear the query for now. I'm gonna write another select files or file where now I don't need to work with Wikidata, I just want to work with the category. And here I put in a service query like this, with using the MediaWiki API instead of SparkQL. So I got a category here. That's nice. And I get category members. And let's see if we go to this file. We can see this one seems to be category relevant. So I'm gonna copy the name here of the category, just replace this, and I keep in mind that I did this earlier today actually when I left out category, and that does not work. I also did another thing earlier today where I was at the Wikidata query service and I was trying to run a query selecting files on Commons, and that doesn't work either. But now I'm gonna make a habit out of checking that logo. And actually, when I'm zoomed in like this, I always know that I'm on Commons because I got extra space up here because the title being so long.
Could perhaps have a bluish tint on this or something to make it even more obvious.
Yeah, a color would be great here. And we can actually see down here that we are turning the page ID into one of those structured identifiers, a URI. And that's a neat trick because the page IDs that every Wikipedia project has, or Commons and so on, any Wikimedia instance actually, MediaWiki instance it should be, actually got a page ID. And for Commons, we can just convert that directly into an MID. So that's what we're doing here. Always just have this short thing on hand, I believe. It's super neat to have around. And that should select us all the files, I believe, just like that. And let's see. We got 241 for that event. So this is exactly one of those cases where we could use this and then just add that property which Jan have suggested.
And that seems to be the same as what the category says, so it actually works.
It actually works. That's good to know. And I think it would be great if we could replace all of this with this, doing it this way instead, which I proposed, like file, schema, category, and then name of category. It would be incredibly nice. And if we then needed two categories, we could just do another line, do something like file, schema, category, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we want to move away from categories, but they are currently really great at Commons. So
yeah, I was going to say this might be the most important step on the way.
Yeah, exactly, because it's such an important, the categories are such an important tool when we create structured data. So I believe it would be of huge benefit, because
Hmm.
another thing with the service when you use MV API, and I don't think we have mentioned this while we have been using it quite a lot, is that you cannot receive more than 10,000 like pages or anything through this. It has a hard limit there. If you want to check something beyond 10,000, which we quite often do, we don't think of it. We rarely return more than that many, but we often have a query of some kind which is supposed to check more.
Yeah.
But this is a hard limit, and that would be great to not have as well. And yeah, I wanted to kind of show off those things, like both what type of tricks one has to do with those include things, and what kind of how it differs from one's expectations, and kind of what we could imagine in the future as well, to really make the query Wikimedia Commons query service even better. Currently, we haven't talked about this, but you can see I got log out here as well. It's behind authentication, but it's in beta and so on. So there's improvements being made all the time, and that's one of the reasons I want to give you the pointer to actually use Fabricator more for this. There are a lot of things that can be improved, and they are improving a lot. Comparing this, for example, having the data updated, that's such a great thing, because if we, for example, use quick statements now to make a big update of data and we realize that we missed something, then we would need to wait a week to being able to make an author query to work with that data. But now it's just a couple of minutes. So yeah, that's what I got today, I believe.
Just a question here while you're having this query up.
Yeah.
So if you would like to do a cross query like right now, you would have to repeat the entire thing here. Like if you want to check if something is in two categories.
No, so what I would do, I think I would not use like we got, let's see, we got a generator, category members. I think I would use a search generator, because I think we've shown this a couple of times, because you can do something if this would be a search. I don't think this would be called title then, but you can do something like in category and then category name. I think we can do that type of search directly on Commons.
Yes.
So rather than trying to use search for category, I would actually use like a in category. I think it's just like that, and then the category name.
Yeah, I think you need to have you need citation marks around it.
Citation mark, exactly. So something like that, I believe. It seems to work. And what one can actually do here is that you can add multiple ones like this, and then have an author category.
Yeah,
I think I would do something like that.
That seems easier.
Yeah, because author-wise, I would need to do this twice, or maybe actually do it once, but then have like something that a filter here would check if it would get complex quickly.
Yes.
So yeah, that's how I would do it. Maybe for another time. I don't pretend I can improvise that one.
Yeah.
I think we had one where we showed something similar with scholarly articles, but we did like a Wikidata search for them, because when we worked with scholar articles on Wikidata, there were so many, so everything would time out. So instead, we used the MV API and the search, because that won't time out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe for another time, I'm making note of that one.
Yes.
It would be a good example as well.
Yes. But then again, hopefully also your proposal will go through or be accepted, or so it would be even easier for us.
Yeah. I don't think it's an easy proposal. There is quite a lot of work for it to be done.
Work to do. Yeah.
But still, I think it would be such an important one.
I mean, the idea is kind of well contained and defined. Like it's easy to understand what do we want to do with this. So it's more like, well, it might be a lot of grunt and hard work to actually make it work, but it should be like not so complex as in the use cases.
Indeed.
Which
Indeed.
is always a good start.
Yeah. And just simplifying, like we already think of Sparkle as quite a high barrier. And I think just simplifying and lowering that barrier as much as we can, as often as possible, would be great. Just like we got the query builder interface today, but just lowering each barrier we can find. And the MV API, I think, is one of those.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
That was it for this time. You just got enough time to go and actually watch the ending and see who's going to go through the third pre-selection thing. So,
right.
So until next time, happy editing.
Happy editing.